StrayAllDay.com.
You are now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day, to do the work, confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. That is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques, all underneath the umbrella of one unifying philosophy that is called work on your game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is, we are in part 6 of what plans to be an 8-part series here, is the 25 false money beliefs that are keeping you broke. We have already given the background on this, so I don't need to give the background. I'm just going to get right into the points. But before I start, let me tell everybody I send out a text message every single day free of charge that will have you focused, sharp, and on point to start your day. You want to be getting this text. So if you are not already in my text community, let me tell you how to get in it. Just text me right now. Here's the number, 305-384-6894. And every day, starting tomorrow morning when that daily motivation goes out, you'll be receiving it. Secondly, Work on Your Game University. People sometimes ask, Dre, do you do anything other than this podcast? Is there a way for me to go deeper with you? Do you have anything like courses or coaching or anywhere that I can get higher level training from you outside of just what you talk about here on the show? And the answer is, of course I do. And the answer to that, of course, is Work on Your Game University. That is the only place where you can get direct coaching from me. That's the only place where you get access to our deepest frameworks like Bulletproof Mindset, 30 Days of Discipline, ASAP Confidence, and 40 plus more courses. You get access to all of that to take at your own pace if you wish on one level of the university, or if you would like to have all of that and you like to get directly coached by me, you can do that as well. To do that, you must be a member of the university at the coaching level. And if you just go to workonyourgameuniversity.com, you'll see your options for both. They're right there on that page. Also, you will get the 2 physical mailings I send out every month, the Bulletproof Bulletin and the Black Book at either level. So just go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. You'll see your choices and you can choose your journey right there on that page. That's it. Let's get right into it. We're picking up at point number 16 of the series, 25 false money beliefs that are keeping you broke. Number 16, I have already reached my personal financial ceiling. Now, this is one that I would hope that is completely irrelevant to most listeners of this show, because I don't think any of you, I would hope, rather, I can't decide, I don't think. I would hope that nobody who's listening to a show called Work on Your Game, which is all about growth and expansion and moving yourself forward. I hope that none of you is looking at yourselves as someone who has already reached your ceiling in any aspect of life. Maybe there may be certain aspects where you may not be able to actually get better because of your age or whatever the situation. But something when it comes to finances, which is based on your ability to create wealth, which is mostly based on what's going on in your mind. All right, there's no ceiling for this one. I hope none of you thinks this, unless maybe if you're past retirement, you've already retired and maybe you just listen to the show for entertainment purposes and you have no plans on generating any new wealth in life. Okay, maybe I'll give an exception for you, but everybody else who hasn't retired yet, I'm assuming this doesn't apply to you. All right, there is no such thing as a personal financial ceiling until you're dead and thus incapable of generating new revenue. Although you could probably still generate money after you die, depending on how you set things up. All right, so the point is, there is no ceiling when it comes to your ability to get smarter, to get better, and become more efficient at generating anything. As long as you are alive and have control of your mental faculties, you can learn more, thus you can do more, and thus you can do it better. So there is no ceiling. One of my favorite books is a book called It's Not How Good You Are, It's How Good You Want to Be. It's written by this guy named Paul Arden. He passed away probably about 15, 20-ish years ago. But one of the main ideas and the thesis of this book is that you must develop a complete disregard for where your abilities end. And generating money is no exception. So Paul Arden, the author that I just mentioned, he wrote that book. He wrote another one called God Explained in a Taxi Ride. And there was another one called Whatever You Think the Opposite. So when you hear me say things like the opportunities are in the opposites, I didn't necessarily get it from Paul Arden's book. I read his book way before I came up with that title. That episode, the opportunities are the opposites. But what he talks about in that book is that a lot of times when you're looking for the opportunity or some way to break through is to look at the opposite of what you've been trying. And maybe that's where the breakthrough might be. So we could say he kind of persuaded me. Any of you read the book Persuasion by Robert Cialdini? Maybe that thought just persuaded me to think that way, a decade or two later when I came up with that episode title. The whole point is here, folks, is that there should be no limit in your mind as to how good you can be when it comes to something like generating wealth or making money, which is a skill that you can always get better at until your dying day. Again, as long as you have control of what's going on in your mind and you can speak or you can communicate in some way, even if you're not speaking, if you can sign language or write, then you always have a way to generate more wealth and generate a way to generate more money. Point number 17. Topic again today, we are talking about 25 false beliefs you have about money that are keeping you broke. Number 17, starting a business is risky, especially if you do not have the safety net of a job. This is a false belief that is keeping many of you broke for a couple simple reasons. First of all, most people who break through financially make the kind of money that you want to make, whatever that amount is for you. And I talk to a lot of people every single day, and everyone has some idea, even if it's a general and vague idea. Everyone I talk to has some idea of how much money you want to make. Everyone I talk to, I'm just trying to think here, just from my experience. I don't think I've talked to a single person in the last year who said, Dre, I have this goal of making this much money. I want to do it all from working at a job, all through full-time employment. Nobody has said that to me. It's not that it's impossible, but nobody said that. Everyone I talk to either wants to completely leave their job and make their money as an entrepreneur, or they want to keep their job and transition into being an entrepreneur, maybe doing it as a side hustle at first, and then eventually getting out of the job and doing their side hustle as a full-time business. We just did an episode not too long ago right here on this feed about how to turn your side hustle into your main hustle. That was episode 2599, which is about a month or two ago. Or they are already a full-time entrepreneur and they just want to get better at making money from the main thing that they're doing. Or you're not a full-time entrepreneur or a full-time business person right now. You don't really have a ton going on, but the thing that you do want to do is be a full-time entrepreneur and make your money. But nobody tells me they want to make all their money from full-time employment. So this point here, starting a business is risky, especially without a safety net of a job, and thusly, this is the reason why many people don't want to do it. That's the false belief. It's not that starting a business being risky is an actual false idea. It actually is risky. All right, this is one I would actually agree with. I agree that starting a business is risky, especially when you don't have the safety net of a job. There is a risk involved in that. The definition of an entrepreneur is someone who starts a business while taking on greater than normal financial risk. So if you are saying that starting a business is risky, you are 100% correct. At the same time, if you are not taking on a greater than normal financial risk, you are not an entrepreneur, because that's the definition of the word. So without risk, there is no reward. Everybody's heard that before, right? The greatest risk in life is to not take one. And you can start a business while still holding on to your full-time job, if you have one, until you feel comfortable enough to let go of the job and just focus on doing the business. You don't have to go all in on your business from the beginning. There are people who do, and there are people like myself who have gone all in on the business from the very beginning. And some of you have done that. Some of you did it even before you were quite sure your business could sustain and get you to the level that your job, whatever previous jobs you had, could be at. And there's no law that says you have to start a business in order to supplement your finances. There are other ways of doing it. All right, you can do it in ways such as investing. You can have a full-time job, have investments that you're doing consistently on the side, and you can work your full-time job until you retire and make the money that you want to make, if you want to do it that way. Again, the people that I talk to, I'm not saying there aren't people out there doing this, because there are, but the people that I talk to all want to jump into being entrepreneurs, probably because I'm an entrepreneur. So those are the kind of people who I attract. Now, someone who has a full-time job and they're talking about, hey, here's how to take your job money and invest on the side while keeping your job, and you can make your money through investments. Guess what? They probably attract those kind of people who are thinking that way. The kind of people I attract are those who want to be entrepreneurs. So there are other ways of doing this, just to make sure all of you understand that. I think most of you probably get that, but you don't want to do it that way, which is completely fine. Good for me, because I get to help you with doing it the way that I'm doing it. And you can have a job, you can have investments, you can have plenty of money. There is more than one way to get there. So any of you who feels like entrepreneurship is a little bit too risky for your liking, is not something that you want to jump into, is not something that you could ever see yourself doing full time, that's 100% okay. I'm probably not going to be able to, I am probably not the best person to help you get to where you want to go if you do not want to be an entrepreneur. If you want to be an entrepreneur, I'm a person who can help you, because that's what I'm doing. I tend to help people do things that are similar to the lanes that I usually help people in, the lanes of things that I've actually drove in, because I've seen that road and I can tell you exactly how to do it. Now, any of you who wants to do something different, you should probably go find somebody who's doing something different. The whole point is that the risk of being an entrepreneur is the trade-off of entrepreneurship. See, one side of entrepreneurship is that there's unlimited income potential. Nobody controls whether you have the job or not. Nobody can tell you what to do. Nobody tells you when to come and when to go. Nobody can tell you how to do it. Nobody tells you what you have to charge or how much you have to accept. Nobody tells you who you have to work with. You don't like somebody, you can fire them. You can remove yourself from the situation anytime you feel like it. You get to work when you feel like it. You leave work when you feel like it. These are all the positive sides of being an entrepreneur in a general sense that I hear from people all the time. The trade-off of all of that positive is that it's risky. Trade-off is there's no safety net. Trade-off is you are out there and you as a entrepreneur, you're like a predator in the jungle. If you don't kill something, you don't eat. You eat what you kill. There's a old, saying that the lions and the tigers and the bears, I don't know if bears count, lions, tigers, and all the other predators out there in the wild, they understand that every day when they wake up, they have to go out there and they have to kill something, and they have to be more cunning and more sneaky, and they have to be faster than the prey and stronger than the prey that they wish to kill and eat. Because if they don't kill some prey and eat it, then they don't eat. And if they don't eat for too many days in a row, they starve. And if their cubs starve, their cubs die, and then eventually they die and they get eaten by somebody else. So this whole game is not, everybody's got to go out there and kill something. That's what entrepreneurship is. And if you don't want to deal with the risk of entrepreneurship, this is not the game for you. That's completely okay. It ain't for everybody. You can go work for someone who is okay with that risk. Moving on to point number 18. We are talking here today, 25 false beliefs you have about money that are keeping you broke. Number 18, money stresses me out. Money stresses me out. Now, it's not that this is necessarily a false belief, but this belief is keeping you broke because you're allowing the stress to stress you out so you can change this relationship that you have with money. See, I'm fine with the fact that money can stress some people out. I agree that some of you do get stressed out by the concept of money or the thought of money or your current circumstances around money, or maybe your past circumstances. Maybe you have some financial trauma in your life that causes money to stress you out. Actually, I know for a fact that there are listeners to the show who have financial trauma that causes money to stress you out. Okay, I understand this. As a matter of fact, money stresses a lot of people out. You have company. Money is the number one cause of breakups in relationships, as a matter of fact. Number one cause of relationships that are not marriages and marriages to break up is money issues, financial issues. The challenge then is not for us to get rid of the concept of money, because money ain't going away. It's just for us to change the conversation you are having in your mind about money so that it is not stressing you out and actually can become a source of positive vibes instead of negative vibes. So let's backtrack. Why is money stressing you out? Let's figure out why money has become a source of stress for you. For many of you, money is a source of stress because of something that you are holding on to from your past, not necessarily because of a circumstance that's happening right now in your life. Now, right now, there may be some challenges that you have with money, but the fact that money is stressing you out is not necessarily because of what's going on right now. It's because of maybe how you grew up, maybe the adults around you growing up, they had some trauma around money and they passed that trauma on to you, or you modeled the traumatic reactions that they had to money because that's the only thing that you saw. So you had no choice but to model it because you didn't have anything else to go off of, and your brain wasn't developed enough for you to understand what was actually happening there. And after all of that, now as an adult, you haven't done any of the work to undo that trauma and undo that stress. So it's still sticking there with you. This is what happens. This is what happens to a lot of us, is that, again, the people who raise us and the people who influence us growing up, they have their own idiosyncrasies. They got their own stuff with them. They got their own things going on. And we don't know that because we're too young and underdeveloped to understand. So what do? We allow them to pass that stuff on to us. We model that stuff because, again, we don't have anything else to go off of to model. We model what we get from those people, even though it's not completely healthy. And then we grow into adults, never realizing that we're modeling something that was unhealthy. And then you find yourself 30 years old, not even realizing that you are modeling something that wasn't healthy from someone who didn't even know that they were giving you something that was unhealthy. And because you were never conscious about it, You never did any of the work to undo it. So you don't even realize that you're carrying around something that you don't even need to be carrying. But if you never get aware of it, then what can you do about it? You can't do anything. Good news is I'm pointing it out right now. If this is new to any of you, some of you is not new to you, and maybe you've heard something like this before, or maybe it has occurred to you before, but you never did any of the work still. So you still have the same issue because you haven't done the work. So you got to do the work on this stuff. You got to do the work to undo what's going on here. We got to backtrack and figure out where this stuff came from. So reason why money stresses many people out. Many people get stressed out about money because you are under the belief that you don't have enough of it. All right, whatever amount you got ain't enough, or whatever amount you got coming in is not enough to cover the amount that you anticipate needs to go out. So let's backtrack and figure out why that is. How much money do you need? How much do you have? And where is the shortage coming from? You need to answer all three of these questions. Let me say it one more time. How much do you need? For you to live the way that you live, how much do you need on a monthly basis? You should know. And then you multiply that by months. You need to know what is the minimum amount you need every year. How much do you need on a personal level, on a business level? How much do you need? Figure out the actual numbers, and then figure out how much you got coming in. And then let's see, okay, what's the difference between where you are, and where you need to be, and where is that shortage sourced from? When did this shortage begin? Did your expenses go up? Did your income go down? Were both happening at the same time? What happened here? Once you get answers to these questions, then we can go to work on what you can do about changing the circumstance. But until we get clarity on these points, we can't do anything. So you can't give me vague answers on this. You can't give yourself vague answers to these questions that I just asked you. We need exact amounts. I need you to come up with exact amounts. How much it's costing you, how much you have, how much you got coming in, how much going to have going out. Where did the shortage occur? When did this start to become a shortage? I don't think you just woke up at one day as an adult and realized, oh man, I owe more money than I got to spend. There were decisions that were made along the way, actions that happened along the way that led to this situation. We need to know what that is. And once we're clear on that, then we can go to work on the issue. But we got to get clear on what the issue is and why the issue is the issue. Everything in life is simple when you break it down into its smallest parts. All right, that's why I'm telling you to break these things down. So with all that said, let's recap today's class, which is part number 6 here. Is this part number 6? Yes, part 6 of false beliefs that you have about money that are keeping you broke. Number 16, I've hit my personal financial ceiling. There is no personal ceiling when it comes to something like generating money. As long as your brain works, you can always generate more money. There is no limit. Doesn't mean you always will, but you should never look at yourself as having maxed out. Because as soon as you see yourself as having maxed out, then your higher being might decide that you die that day because you don't have anything else to bring to the table. Number 17, starting a business is risky, especially without the safety net of a job. This is actually true. The thing is, most people who listen to me and come into my world, you want to do it through entrepreneurship. So if you are hesitant to become an entrepreneur because of the risk involved, understand that being an entrepreneur involving risk. That is what being an entrepreneur is. That's the definition of it. So if you don't want to take a risk, then that means you don't want to be an entrepreneur. So it means you got to rethink your whole life plan right now, or rethink whether that risk is really an inhabitant to you doing what you want to do. Number 18, money stresses me out. I'm fine. Money can stress some people out. That's actually true. The reason money stresses people out is simply because you have not gained enough clarity as to what your situation is when it comes to money. How much do you have? How much do you need? How much is coming in? How much is going out? Why is there a discrepancy here? Where did it start? Where did it come from? And what can we do to fix it? We can't fix it until we get answers to all the previous questions. So once you get answers to those and we have clarity, that's when you can actually do something about the situation. A lot of you are going around without crystal clarity as to what exactly is going on, which is why you can't solve your problems. This is why you keep having the same problem over and over again. You can't solve it because you have no clarity on the issue. So I just told you how to get it. With all that said, text me. Tell me the best point you got from today's class. My number is 305-384-6894. Once you text me, you'll also be in my text community, which means you get my daily motivation every single day for free. Secondly, Work on Your Game University. That's the only place you can get coached by me. You can get into my business building framework, sell yourself framework, content machine framework, bulletproof mindset, 30 days of discipline, work on your game system, and more. If you'd like to be coached by me directly and I can help you with these things, and we're talking about finance here in this series, then again, this clarity exercise that I gave you will help you, help me, help you. You come into Work on Your Game University, you want to get coached. All of that, again, is at workonyourgameuniversity.com. Tomorrow we get into the next part of the series. Work on your game. Dre, all